Every nigga is a star. Who will remind you that you admire? Every nigga is a star. Every nigga's a star. Every nigga's a star. Every nigga's a star. Every nigga's a star.
So welcome back to another episode of the practice team. It's like on guts when they're like welcome back to another episode of Nobody Asked Me But. I am here with my beloved Cliff Kee, and we have very special guests. I'm going to call them the Sneeds because I don't know Kara's last name yet. But yes, Greg and Kara Sneed, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. So, today's episode is not necessarily fully loaded, but we're talking a lot about what it means to be a Black couple in the middle of quarantine. For those of us that have not quite come on Zoom, I have this like right here, the backup. So, yeah, right. So those of us that have been paying attention, although it's everywhere, you can't miss it. Not only have we been experiencing a pandemic, but we've also been experiencing a major record. Thank you. A major outbreak in social justice due to the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Tony McDade and the very violent assault of Ayanna Dior. So there's lots of things happening.
It's a bunch of them.
Right. So we wanted to have a discussion today with another Black couple to talk about exactly what's going on outside, how it's affected everybody. So we'll first start on a lighter note. How have you guys been handling pandemic, quarantine, and quarantining together as a couple thus far?
It's been good. It's been okay. It's been bad. But he's alive, so
yes,
that's the most important. That's the most important thing to think about. Yeah,
I'm alive.
You're alive.
That's the best way to kind of put it in a nutshell. As it's good, it's bad, it's ugly, even sad.
Yeah.
You know? It's definitely been an experience. It has definitely made us stronger. No doubt about it.
Ooh, in what ways have you guys gotten stronger?
There comes a reliance on each other in a way that it's one thing when people go out and they are at work or hanging out with friends, but then there's another thing now when you go out and there's such a risk of bringing things back in without even knowing. And you have to rely on that person to be safe. The reason I say that is because it's not that I'm anywhere like cleaner or anything like that, but I became very paranoid in terms of what I brought home. She hasn't been going to work, but I've been going into work physically once every 2 weeks or twice every 2 weeks, whatever the case. And bringing those things home, you never know what you bring home. So you have to be very, very cognizant of being very sanitary, even more so. You're very more aware of the surfaces you touch and all that kind of stuff. The main thing is she had to rely on me to be clean, to be clean and to be very cognizant of those things. And I had to do the same for her.
Yeah, we had to agree to have a system when it came to going out and coming back in, and groceries and packages and even the mail. Like we had to have a system where we both agreed that we're going to do this, that, and the third, and this is what we're always going to do.
Routine, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other part about it, it's just been like, your living space has become everything. It's not just your home; it's your yoga studio, it's your gym, like everything. It's like everything, and like. Don't get me wrong. I love Greg with all my heart, but like I like when he went to the grocery store. I liked when he went to the grocery store. I appreciate when he went to work because it was like, okay, I'm finally like alone. I can like breathe a little bit easier because, you know, it's also scary out here. Like this pandemic is no joke, and this pandemic has been coming for us. So it's just like, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but like Greg has definitely become cleaner to me. He's been a little clingier than normal. So I think I've had to adjust to that. But I appreciate when he went out to the store or when he goes to work. It's like, okay, all right, big sigh of relief. All right. Okay.
First of all, can I just say that I was definitely one of those crazy Hotep people that was like, Black people aren't getting it, okay? This is a hoax. They do it every year.
Until Idris Elba.
They do it every election year. H1N1, swine flu, SARS.
All that.
They do it every year. Can you do me a favor, sweetheart, and sit over this way? Because it just is such a shut. We can't see us the way I want to be seen.
Okay.
So, you know, it just, yes, if you shift this way, very good. And then if I do one of these.
All right.
See? Hello. So we're not getting it. It's not happening to us. You know, we'll be fine. Like, you know, Black people have been, your mother, grandmothers, fathers, cousins have been like, as soon as you get in the house, wash your hands, take a shower, take off your street clothes. Don't wear your street clothes in the bed. Wipe down counters. That's what that's been instilled in us our whole lives. So when this first came out and everybody was losing their minds with the panic and the toilet paper I was just kind of like, I don't feel like this is as crazy as it is. And then it got super crazy very quickly. Yeah. And a lot of my friends kept saying, well, maybe the other viruses weren't deadly. And I said, I'm sure they were, but we had proper leadership then. Mm-hmm. Even the ones we didn't like, they still understood how the world
works. And
so
everyone gets sick every wow. And bacteria evolves.
Yeah. So like
bacteria evolves.
That first initial thing, I was like, no. And then after a while, it was like, this is scary. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, because of the ongoing discussion, ongoing acts of racism, albeit calm and collected, undermining in discussions. It's for a Black girl, or Black people don't really need to. Black people are strong, so therefore our bodies don't necessarily need as much attention when it comes to medical issues, or they don't want to listen to us. So it just the layers of which definitely caused us to be much more disproportionately dead is not the word I would like to use, but it has affected us.
Dormant?
Yes, thank you, dormant. Than it could have been, than it should have been. And so, which kind of brings me to my next thing. Well, before we get there, we'll talk about what Clifford and I's experience has been for quarantine. I'll let you go first.
It was
not like you can go first.
When it first started, I was assuming that it wasn't that serious and we were going to get out rather quickly. I thought this was going to be like a 3-week thing, and then 3 weeks hit and people are dying. You see people are dying by the thousands, and then you get reports that people are dying by the millions. So I really didn't, I personally didn't take it as seriously the first couple of weeks. And then after hearing everybody died, it's like, oh, this is serious. That means I gotta wear a mask. And I had to make that, as you said before, I have to make everything routine. I have to put on a mask. I gotta wash my hands. I gotta take my clothes off. I gotta make sure that that I take it. There was a period within the last 3 months where I was taking 2 showers a day, just to avoid getting anybody sick. And mind you, we live with other people, and one of our roommates are asthmatic, so we had to be extremely careful. We had to be extremely careful. because we don't want to put anybody in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
as far as us, I believe it brought us together. I'm not going. I am a man who likes his space a lot, and and Corona has forced me to share my space a little bit more than usual, and I'm getting used to it. And I'm happy that I got to know you a little bit more.
Ooh, cute. That's cute.
So I'm and just working around everything. Just working around just a social life. Working around the new working around going to the gym because this is social life.
Clifford will drive past the gym and be like, "I miss you." Like we get it, but also like girls. But
I mean, the gym is therapeutic. For me, the gym is therapeutic. It's been my alone time for a little bit. Especially when I was working out, like around 16, 17, and I was getting in shape.
16, 17, what?
2016.
Oh, okay.
2017.
Sorry. 16 days, 17 days.
The year.
16th hour. Today I finally need alone time.
No, the years of our Lord and Savior, 2016 and 2017.
No, yeah. So I actually, because Clifford still drove Uber during like the first half of quarantine. And that was a whole discussion because it was like, it's super dangerous for you to drive Uber and then come back here. Yeah. We had to have that conversation a couple of times because it was just like, for him, it's like, I still have to make money. And it's like, yes, absolutely. We all do. But I'd rather us park it real quick just so that everyone can kind of be safe. And eventually he went back and then he started to wipe everything down. People came in and right after, like before they came in and after they left. So that made me feel a lot better about it. And then it just over time.
And it was hard for me to lessen my workload from if I'm not doing anything, driving 6 days a week to now driving 3 days a week for a maximum of 4 hours because I don't want to get anybody infected and I don't want to get myself infected. So it was a hard task it was a hard reality to grasp for the first few weeks. But I got through it.
Give us 2 seconds. Can you go get the can you go grab the computer charger? And of course, I have the internet that's mean, so don't move. Hold on. Okay. Are we back?
There we go.
We're gonna get disconnected. Ow. Okay. So for me personally, I feel like yes, we have been spending a lot more time together, and Clifford and I like to think are a good team to begin with. So we have a good understanding of who needs what when. So it's just been more practice of that for me. But I also think it's very much, he'll chill in the living room and I'll sit in the bedroom by myself for hours at a time. And I don't agree with it because it's like he's not far. He's right outside, And so we have had plenty of alone time, even still being in the same four walls or such.
Yeah.
Which I think is incredibly important because if you are literally like next to each other in each other's faces all day long, who will survive?
Somebody's getting hurt.
So we had one day, and so we talked about like a couple weeks ago when we were having just a regular conversation, this is what this is, but now it's being recorded. When we were having a regular conversation, we were talking about how like basic living habits. So Clifford needs a clean room, folded clothes. That's what helps him think. That's what helps him like kind of recenter himself so that he can kind of move on with his day. I couldn't give a fuck less about my bedroom. It's the bathroom for me that I need to be like, just, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like ridiculously sparkly, but you know, I can't handle blood in my sink and things not being flushed. And so stuff like that is like, I'm going to lose my P's and Q's. But I will say that in our quarantine, I think not so much my habits, because I'm still working on like, if the bed's not quite made, it doesn't stop my day. I'm just kind of like, oh, I'll make it when I make it. But I will say that, and I need to still fix that because I have to recognize that it's not just about me not caring. It's about the fact that it's something that makes him feel safe and centered and like peaceful. So I'm working on it. But Clifford has absolutely done much better, with the exception of the last couple of weeks as far as the bathroom.
I try. And as far as the bedroom situation, actually, though, my bedroom is my workspace as well. I'm doing a lot of practicing, sometimes recording. I'm doing beat making. I'm doing a lot in that area. And the last thing I need is to have a very cluttered workspace. I don't need a cluttered workspace. I need everything. I need to find everything.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to find everything when I need it.
Yeah.
And it kind of centers me when my room is clean. If I'm using my peripherals and I see that a few things are out of order, and quite honestly, the whole room doesn't really have to be spick and span. As far as long as the bed's made, I'm pretty okay.
Yeah, I know for me, it's like if I'm cleaning it now, it has to be like completely cleaned. Like if we're here, we're doing it, break out them Clorox wipes. Here we go, let's get the Swiffer. And like for him, it's like, it don't have to be that deep. I just need a bed made. So I also am like working on making sure we got like, I'm meeting, not going extreme with the things that he needs without compromising it, but also just kind of meeting him halfway with the bed. I'll get there. So,
yeah, the cleaning, to be honest, I'm very similar to you, Elsie, in terms of, number one, the bathroom. Bathroom has to be pristine for me. Has to be.
Pristine.
Bathroom, kitchen, very much so.
If it's yucky, I don't want to go. That's really what it comes down to. If it's just yucky, I'm just kind of like, who, what? If it's in it, this is our shower. It's not like it's a shower that's public per se. Mm-hmm. You know, there are other people that use it, but they live in this house. For me, it's like, ew, I'm not, I'd rather not at all if it's going to look like that. And so, you know.
Yeah, it's big. That's big for me. And, you know, my mom put me on this from the time in which I was a little kid. I mean, bathroom and kitchen. I mean, even as I'm cooking, most of the time, I'm also cleaning the kitchen while I'm cooking.
I try to do it as I'm cooking. Doesn't work, but yes.
I mean, most times it does, but it depends. You know what I mean? Then there's like, you get that moment of validation, and then people eat, and then the sink is full again. So even with like the dishwasher, like she'll tell you, sometimes, most of the time I unload the dishwasher or whatever, and she has a habit of still putting dishes in the sink. So
I do.
I'll say,
he'll see me walking to see like, put it in the dishwasher, huh?
Yep.
Karen, don't put it in the sink. Put it in the dishwasher. Okay.
Yeah. You know, but then sometimes like I have a habit of in the bedroom, it's funny because when we first started dating, I was always making up my bed. Always. There was some period where it just stopped. I don't know why. I think we just got busier. But it wasn't something that we made a huge deal over, and now we go back to making it again. So we've gone through both. I think it's just like a sense of routine, you know. But even with that, like with laundry, she loves folding. It's therapeutic for her.
Really?
So yes.
I love folding laundry. Like if it's like a good show or a good movie that I'm watching, or I've been listening to a lot of books on Audible, so I'll put my headphones in and fold. It's very therapeutic.
Folding is cool. It's the putting away that I'm like.
Yeah, she don't do that. I do. We do our own. You know what I mean? But
That's right. I'm not
even with that, it's just like we like when things are organized. We like when things are kind of in routine. But if they get out of whack, it doesn't drive us nuts. Like right now, if you saw like
our living room,
the table that we have is now my desk, our desk, basically. One of the chairs has the printer on it. You have like two or three laptops almost. My phone hookup and everything like that, a lamp. I have a little plant there too, so it's like an office basically. And I feel like I'm on the Starship Enterprise because you got so many controls all over the place. But you know, it's something that occasionally, you know, the clutter will get us, but it's usually something that has probably built up maybe over a 2-week span. And in that 2-week span, you know, you talk about grocery shopping. I've probably gone into work once. You know what I mean? We haven't really gone anywhere, you know, so it's just, you know, a buildup of things from our daily routine and activities. And so we clean it up. And once it's clean, it stays that way for the most part until more activities happen.
Yeah. One last pause, because now, of course, I have to pee. Be right back.
Are we editing this out?
No, this is the realness. This is how real people's react.
No, we're not.
You want the people to know that I have to pee?
No.
Why?
Real life.
Hey, pee. The people know. Yes, we'll edit it out, Clifford, if it helps you. I'll be right back. This is supposed to be homegrown conversation.
It is a homegrown conversation.
Homegrown.
Raw conversation.
Homegrown.
But on the other hand, I am not the host, so it's like I
It's okay, but your opinion matters, though, Cliff. Your opinion matters.
You know what? Thank you very much.
Welcome. Your opinion matters. It's important.
Now I just had to figure out where my opinion, what should I have an opinion on in this climate.
Listen. You have an opinion on what? Everybody has their opinion. Not everybody will agree to disagree about it, but everybody is entitled to their own opinion.
I get it. I'm just trying to figure out. I was trying to say it in an elegant way. What am I going to talk about? While she's
we can just bring the fireball bottle over here, you know. Sorry.
So I'm like, okay, we're just gonna keep rolling while you use the bathroom. Okay, cool.
It's okay. Listen.
Listen,
it's just you know, it's just real life. It's just real life, raw, unedited.
It's real on these motherfucking
conversation.
Big facts. Big facts.
You want some?
No.
What is that? Fireball?
Yeah, it's my birthday bottle. It's almost gone. It's almost gone. Got it on my birthday.
Man, cute.
Oh.
Yes, How was your birthday?
It was very nice. It was nice. Greg decorated the apartment with streamers. He made me like a 3-course breakfast that put me to sleep. So I had a morning nap. And then my 2 cousins and 2 of my friends came, and we sat on my lawn and drank and talked, and it was very nice.
Salud.
Hey, did we drink all the tequila?
No, but I mean,
I'm taking shots of tequila today. Okay. Sorry, guys.
Hydrating.
Yes.
No couple shots this way.
Well, I'm not trying
to introduce you guys to Terramana, the Rocks Tequila. Have you had it?
Terramana, the Rocks Tequila.
The Dwayne Johnson made a brand of tequila called Terramana. It's very good.
Very good.
Black-owned tequila, we say.
Yes.
It's wonderful. It's smooth. And like the next day, I don't have a hangover. Like I don't get that headache. Like it's wonderful. I love it.
It's fantastic.
Where's the bottle? Put it in the.
Oh, I'll get the bottle. Hold on.
Wonderful. It's great.
I made a Bacardi drink and it had, what did it have? The Simply Strawberry Lemonade. I think I told you. The Simply Strawberry Lemonade. Then I did a splash of Bacardi coconut.
Yeah.
And then, no, not a splash. It was hefty. And then I did a splash of grenadine. And it was like, this feels like some. Yeah, I've seen that.
It's very good. It's very, very good.
Very, very good.
Very, very good.
Delicious.
We made
no carbs, no sugars.
We made strawberry lemonade with that. We did because I was testing out the Trulies, because Trulies came out with like a lemonades, but it has that weird like artificial sugar aftertaste. So I was like, okay, never again. But
good.
I think I'm gonna try it with Simplies and just add that. But it was
a nice like, okay, this is what I'm looking for without it having to be like.
And I cut up strawberries and I put it in there. It's very. I felt like I was
very fancy. Very fancy.
Since vacations are canceled, sometimes I have to pretend like I
have vacation at the house.
Exactly, my staycation, my permanent staycation. But it lasts, and a little umbrella.
So shifting gears to things that are just a bit more serious.
Yeah.
So, as I was explaining to you guys before the show, but I'm now explaining to our friends, measuring friends, Tarana Burke, as we all know her, is the founder of the Me Too movement, and her boyfriend were out on an outing, and they parked their car in front of a house, and I can't remember if the person in the house actually said something to them immediately. They might have, and I think the response was that we'll be right back. Like we're not going to be long. There's not a lot of places to park. We'll park right here. When they returned, it had appeared as if their car had been vandalized, and it had also appeared that the people who vandalized their car were people who were living in the residence, and furthermore, they had called the police. When the police arrived,
I'm assuming they're Caucasian. I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The good kind. So
I'm clarifying for people.
Please, the people need to hear. They need to be clear. So, hear and clear. They rhyme. Anyway, so when the police had arrived, they, of course, assumed that Tarana and her boyfriend were the ones that were causing the trouble or causing all of the issue, and that wasn't the case. And then Tarana found herself trying to explain, like, no, this isn't what's happening. You're disrespecting us. We're not the people that you need to be asking questions to. And her boyfriend, in return, was like, I just need you to stop. Like, stop. And he said, she said that he kept answering his questions and was trying to be as diplomatic and as easy as possible. And she was really annoyed. And when they got to the car, he said, look, I understand. I get it. But in these situations, it's way more important that we get out of it alive than we get out of it proving a point. And so I wanted to talk to another Black couple and discuss what kind of responsibilities do we have for each other as a couple? What kind of responsibilities do we have as separate people? So like in that moment, they were a couple, but it was like Tarana is a person who's like, I'm going to have, I'm not afraid of you. I can have this discussion. And her boyfriend was kind of like, yes, sir. No, sir. Whatever you need, let's get out of the situation. So
it's funny that you mentioned that because two things. One, we've had this discussion with my family members who are law enforcement, two of which are retired now, and one is still on the job. And the number one thing that they always say is just be polite, be obedient, don't try to get out of the car. Don't try to do this because this is what it looks like to a police officer. This is how it could be perceived. Not that it's right that they perceive it that way, but that's how they're trained. The second thing is we both have been in situations where things have escalated to a point.
Oh yeah, the whole thing in Melbourne.
Yes.
Oh, I want to do that.
But yeah, you can go.
So we were coming back from my uncle's house in West Orange, and we took the back way. And the back way is that we South Mountain, like past Paper Mill Playhouse through Melbourne.
The uncle that we visit sometimes.
Yes,
Jack.
Uncle Jack. Yes. So
we love him.
Yes.
So we were coming back one night, and in Melbourne, the light, it was like a lane that was going straight, and then there was a turning lane, and we got sideswiped by a white girl in another car. So we pull over, and he is very heated, and he is mad, and he got out the car, and I had to rein him in. Number one, mind you, the cops weren't there yet, but I had to rein him in. And I was like, yo, you got to sit in the car until the cop comes, because if you get out the car and go talk to that woman, it's going to look so wrong. And that woman is going to say, this African-American male, this black man is harassing me. I'm afraid for my life. And like, yo, I'm not trying to bail you out of jail.
No. See you get killed.
Or exactly. So I had to be the one to reel him in and be like, yo, sit in the car. Shut up until the cop. Chill out. We can bitch and we can complain when we're home and our safe space, but I need you to sit in the car and be quiet.
Here come Greg and Elsie. We're ready to fight. We're ready to fight now. Let's set this place on fire.
It was stupid. It was her. It was her fault, and she was careless, and she was making it seem like, well, you did it. No, bitch, you did it. Don't do that. But in that moment, I'm like, we're number one. We in Melbourne, and Melbourne cops don't play. And I'm just like, nope, sit in the car, shut up, sit in the car. Answer the questions, yes or no, sir. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, in that example, it was like, he had me to kind of reel him in. So I was like, happy that I was able to calm him down and be like, yo, we can talk about what we got.
Because one misconception that I had to really reflect on was that even though, first of all, when I get stopped in New Jersey, I rarely get a ticket because my family member gave me a gold card, so they usually leave you alone. They usually don't mess with you. But just because you know law enforcement doesn't mean that you can just do whatever kind of bullshit either.
There's a lot of those. There's a lot of things that we have to remember as Black people.
Particularly Black people, when you know family members of law enforcement or whatever, even though you're trying to name drop and all this other BS, at the end of the day, you're really just making it harder for yourself because the cop's going to be like, well, I don't give a shit. Now I don't give a shit because now, number one, you're not listening. You're raising the tension in the air. So you know what? Once this whole shit settles, you're going home with a ticket, at least. You're going home with something. So I had to kind of reel myself back in a little bit. Yeah. The second time, where you're asking about how we are apart or as individuals, she had gotten stopped.
In Parsippany.
In Parsippany,
and it was literally down the street. I was working at a daycare in Parsippany. It was down the street from the daycare. I was coming back from lunch. Yeah, lunch. No, I was going to work.
Going to work. You were there early.
Yeah, I was going to work, and the cops pulled me over, and like, usually when you get pulled over, you still kind of see the lights. Mm-hmm. As soon as they pulled behind me, they turned the lights off. So number one, I'm like, crap, the lights are off. So I'm like, all right. And the other thing was, like, I felt the area that I was pulled over by, it was under a bridge. So it was very, like, isolated. So I'm like, okay.
Hard for anybody to see. Just so the disclaimer, or not even disclaimer, just so that you know, people, when cops turn off the overhead lights, the dash camera also turns off. When they turn on their lights, the dash camera goes on and it stays on automatically. They have no control over it. So when they turn those lights off, the dash cam goes off. And you have to be very, very mindful of that because they may be doing some things that they should not be doing that are not recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. So they asked me, you know, the usual license and registration. Where are you going? Why are you here? You know, going to my job. This is where I work. So it was a young guy and an older guy. They asked me to come out of the car, and they start going through my car. They open the doors and they like trash my car, and they were like, "Open your trunk," and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, "Yo, like why?" But I'm scared because the other cop has his hand on his hip where his gun is, and I'm like, "Yo." I'm like, okay, I open the trunk, like they dump stuff out of my car, and like, why do you have all this stuff? I'm like, yo, I'm in the process of moving and things like that. So I still have stuff in my car. And they didn't give me anything. Like it was like they trashed my car, they told me I can go, and they drove off.
They told you matched the description of
right. I matched the description of like
somebody trying to transport narcotics.
Yeah. Like a drug dealer, like trying to transport stuff. Mm-hmm. So when I say they went through my car, they dumped, they looked through like the console in the middle, the dashboard thing.
Yeah.
The dashboard. Yeah. The glove compartment. They took stuff, they threw stuff on the sidewalk and stuff. And I'm just like standing there, but I'm scared. Like I'm like frozen, and like I couldn't even have my phone to like record it or anything because I'm scared. The other cop is staring at me with his hand on his hip, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna stand here, and then they're like, okay, you're free to go. They drive off, so like I'm trying to put stuff in my car, but I'm upset, so I'm like hyperventilating to the point where like I'm crying. So I call Greg. This is what happened, and then we made a complaint.
I immediately called the family and law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And we, in fact, my cousin, he knew somebody in the prosecutor's office. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying this because with all that stuff, nothing came of it. Nothing came of it.
No, like we went there. We went to the prosecutor's office. I gave them all the information, and I made a complaint, and I made it very clearly. I'm scared for my life. That this officer had his hand on his gun the whole time, and I was doing what they were asking. It wasn't like I was being defiant or anything. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I know that's just supposed to show me something if they want to search my car. But I'm like, yo, in that moment, I'm scared to death. Like, this is my life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We were talking to earlier this week. No, today is Tuesday. So
Monday.
Today's Monday.
Yeah.
It's all good. People going to laugh at this. They're going to love it.
Mm-hmm.
As she sips more tequila.
Obviously, the days are meshing together. Yeah. But on Friday, it's okay. It's okay. On Friday, we had a talk with our students. And so I have students from 5 to 22. Mm-hmm. And so we talked to our big kids, our 13 to 22, and we had a meeting with the other teachers and youth leaders. And my 20-year-olds were like, I'm on my paper route on my bike. And I had to, walk up to the door and drop the paper off. And I can see in the reflection that there's a police cop behind me with their gun drawn, ready to shoot me in the back because I'm just working. And another one of my students, had a really experience very similar to yours as far as being pulled over. And then we're talking, and all of a sudden, one of the parents sees that their child is crying on screen and is trying to console. And she comes on, and she's like, you guys just have to show them that you're the best. And just show them, you can't be violent. You have to show them that you're the best. And da-da-da-da-da. And
you're the best?
What? And I'm sitting there like this, kind of just, maybe she'll tire herself out and she'll get off. But I'm also not trying to lose my job because the first thing I want to do is curse this parent out. I'm also very close to her daughter, very talented singer.
Didn't she get cursed out anyway?
Yeah, I'm getting there. You got to build it up. So it's okay. One of my youth leaders handled my light work and was like, clicks on, you can't see her face, and just dragged her because the thing that I think a lot of Black people in particular think is that if we appear to be good citizens, whatever the fuck that means, non-violent, good. Good used to be such a fun word. Now it's it has so many like underlying just connotations. But if you appear to be somebody that is non-threatening, if you appear to be a upstanding citizen, then you get to keep your life. And that is not true.
No.
Right.
It's just not, it's just simply untrue.
But
to the point of which almost the majority of the people
who have been killed.
Huh?
The majority of people who have been killed.
And the majority of people who've been killed were either at their home, sleeping. They were following procedure. They were, there's one in particular that always stands out to me, and it always makes me nervous when Clifford leaves the house. Because when Philando Castro died, I think it was either right in the beginning of our relationship or right before it. And I remember being like, this is a person that loves his city, goes to work every single day, loves the kids, nice, coherent, and by coherent, I mean he understands what's happening with the people. And, license registration, sure, I got it, here it is. I want to let you know that I'm a licensed gun carrier.
Yep.
Because you got to give that information out.
Yes. That's
what they tell you when you go, it's part of your Second Amendment, right? You have to know that you can do that.
Absolutely.
And it's like, he did everything right. Mm-hmm. You can literally do every single thing right.
Yep.
And it will still cost you your life. Mm-hmm. And I think that I want to make sure I drive that home, because that is a constant thing for people. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, I literally did not think I was going to get killed today. I didn't have that on my brain. I was literally leaving my house to go to XYZ place to fulfill XYZ need.
That's not part of the plan. I'm supposed to come back home.
And it's like, and then the other part of that is that people are just mortified of nothing. You're upset about a height. You're upset about a size of a nose or a sound of a voice or a particular body type or whatever.
Yeah.
And you got all these preconceived notions. And because somebody just challenges a criticism of yours, now let's call the police.
Yeah.
And it used to be when I was little, my grandmother, God rest her soul, we would have people call the house. And, it's not our regular house, our grandma's house. It's just because we weren't home. So, our friends that we'd have at school, they're like, hi, can I speak to TS? And she'd be like, this is the police. And my sister and I will joke about that. But now it's no longer funny because the police are not, in my opinion, while, of course, we all know. It's the same way when people are like, oh, there's good white people. It's like, we don't need to hear that. Of course, there are police officers that are not out to hunt people for their lives. But if we're talking about what's happening
in the general scheme of things,
yeah,
police are killing our people.
Yeah, big time.
It's definitely one thing that my dad and even my aunt said one time was that back in the day, usually, if you got, first of all, being assaulted by the police was something that did not show up on TV, but people knew it happened. He said, but also, though, when you were a criminal and you did something wrong, many times the police were good with their hands, like they were able to beat people up. They weren't ones that were using their guns. He's like, but now you got a lot of people who are hiring these young boys who have little understanding of cultural appreciation and so forth. And even if they do, it's based upon their own preconceived notions. And many times you have some people that have some chips on their shoulder, and now being a cop, having a gun in your hand, makes you feel like you're something now.
Yeah.
So he was like, whatever happened to, if a criminal's being resistant, to just slamming them on the ground and just handcuffing them? Where did it come that your first reaction is just to go to your gun and pull it and just shoot somebody.
But even the slamming on the ground.
Right.
Can it just be on the cop car? Can it just, there are so many other things.
Quite honestly, shouldn't be any slamming, period.
Of anything. And it just, at this point, it's just like.
But yeah, my general point was basically that they wouldn't resort to having to use a gun to just solve whatever dispute.
Correct.
You know what I mean? To solve whatever dispute that's the first recourse. That's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely ridiculous. And now, I was on a panel the other day, matter of fact, on Friday, with some people, and I said the main thing that really gets me now is you have cops who basically act on suspicion. Mm-hmm. You have people that just go on ahead and go off of what they think about somebody rather than what's actually happening. Mm-hmm. And their own assumptions. And it just, again, I think it goes down to the training. I think it goes down to being able to, number one, know your community where you're working. That was the biggest point, was that a lot of the cops, especially like, for example, East Orange, right? In East Orange right now, there's a grumble because you have a lot of cops now that are not from the community. And that might not necessarily be a bad thing, but how invested are they into the community? How much do they know about the community? How culturally aware are they? How culturally relevant are they? Even if you work in a Hispanic community, for example, one of the things that culturally happens, and I know this from teaching, when you're speaking to a student, usually from Hispanic descent, if they're in trouble for something, they don't look you in the eye. So what ends up happening, if you don't look that person in the eye, some people will take that as disrespect. Like, yo, look at me when I'm talking to you. Culturally, that doesn't work in other cultures. If you go with, Jamaican or Haitian, they're very, very personable. So they get very, very close. They like that closeness. For some people, that makes people feel uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So if you're an officer and you don't understand that, you may take these things as tension or escalating or resistance, and then you act on something that you don't know anything about. Mm-hmm. So it's important that where you're working, you understand the constituents that you're working for. You understand those cultural norms. You understand the history of where you're working, so that when you encounter these things, you have a context of where that came from. But you don't see a lot of people doing that. And that's also part of that problem. You work in an urban neighborhood and you think that, someone asking you a question about something is disrespect when it actually is not. We've been talking.
Just trying to make sure we know the right, and that's the other thing which I also think is a general thing about racism in general, is the general thing about racism in general. Generally. Thing about racism
generally.
Keep us out of specific institutions so that we don't get the information, although we are always going to get the information. Mm-hmm. However, you want to lock away or keep separate access from information. But when it's time for us to use said information, you want to yell and be mad and be aggressive about the fact that we don't know what we're not informed. Mm-hmm. How the fuck did you expect us to read the minds of others to figure out how it was going to work? And that we see that, of course, medically, police force specifically, but even in the justice system. I don't know what I'm looking for. You guys are talking in specific legal jargon that you might not be able to explain. It doesn't mean that I can't comprehend what's happening. It just means that, what are the stipulations? The music business is also huge for that. And I think that is one of the several different reasons why Black families are like, you have to educate yourself. Not only because of the fact that they were saying that there was definitely a time when Black people were only allowed to go to a certain grade, and HBCUs were made for a lot of these reasons because they were, not being treated fairly. And that's super important. But it's also necessary for Black children, Black adults, Black teenagers, Black people to really know how the law works, know, do you need a warrant to check my trunk? You know, are you allowed to do that? You know, and it might cost you your life. It might absolutely cost you. But, you know, and even if it's a tough place to be in, because you could still have that information and not want to use it because of the fact that you know that there's a greater risk on the other end. And that's not, of course, if you tell people that, like, I think you need a warrant for this, this, and this, or you can't have that, or no, I actually don't want to say anything to you until I have my lawyer present.
See, you know, it's funny that what you said, when you first started that, you were saying, you know, you can actually lose your life. What people don't understand is there is no coming back from that. So you, even knowing the
There's
law.
no coming back. You will lose your life.
Yeah.
But isn't it sad?
Even knowing the law.
Even knowing the law, isn't it sad that at a certain point now, when you are trying to be obedient and exercise your rights in an obedient and respectful way, that could still cost you your life.
Absolutely.
And so somebody, you know, could say, why the hell should I even know this shit then if, guess what? Someone's just going to pop me when I'm starting to ask them questions anyway and try to frame some shit.
Yeah.
You know,
and I don't have an answer for that because.
Right. And that's the thing.
But
that's the thing. Like, I could tell that even as you said that pause right there was like, shit, if I'm dead, ain't shit I can do.
What am I going to do now? Beam down from the heavens. By the way, you were wrong because it says here, you know, I can't.
Right.
I can just whip out the scroll.
But you know what? I have to give it up for our generation, this new generation, because they and social media, because you know this is how we're seeing it everywhere. You know, about voting, about knowing, you know, your local officials and how change is going to happen. So I do have to give it up. And you know what? I was looking at some of these signs that the protesters that have been holding up, and the one that I like, it was like, you mess with the wrong generation. And I'm like, yo, this is very true. I feel like this generation is super on it because they're researching, they're educated and educating others.
Mm-hmm. All of my 13 and all of them, they were all like, there's a lot of them that are white Latina or white Latinx, and then the rest of us are pretty much black. But the majority of the people that live there are people of color. Hold on one second. And so they kept saying to me, like, it's really important for us that we, sorry. Where you open,
I love it.
Cliff, fix your face.
But
Fix your face.
I mean, this isn't going to be on camera. So
I know. But I'm just
smile. You're an LC camera.
It was so funny. Cliff was just like, what do you do? Like, it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right, though. I mean, it's just it is the ultimate contradictory sentiment. That is, I do what I'm supposed to do, and it doesn't work in my favor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or it doesn't keep me alive. It doesn't keep me alive. And
that's why we're angry.
That's why we're angry.
Absolutely.
We're following procedure and still getting killed. So what do you expect?
Doing
And
everything
you wonder
right.
why I'm angry?
Yeah.
And why I'm upset and why we're rioting?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not giving us a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do is wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we, you know, oftentimes she will tell you that I'm very, very protective. And part of that protectiveness, if that's a word, is me just saying, please be safe. Please be safe. You know what I mean? And she comes back to me and says, you be safe too.
Yeah.
You know, you be safe too. It's, you know, it's just being in this predicament now where not even now, but living in this predicament all of our lives where the institutions have not been designed to help us but to suppress us. It's a continuous cycle of the state supposedly supposed to be defending all of us, but it's not. Supposed to be protecting us in theory, but it's not. Mm-hmm. It is. This has been our reality all of our lives. We don't know what it's like for it to be different, mm-hmm. and the underlying tone with this is the understanding or the interpretation of Black culture, while it's embrace of the culture, so to speak, to your benefit, it is also what they view as the threat. Mm-hmm. So I'll listen to Tupac, but if I walk up on a car and they're playing Tupac, now I feel threatened. You know?
Because it's like they're listening to it for a different reason than what we're listening to.
Yeah, and it's full of aggression.
It's full of aggression.
Full of aggression.
Those blacks are, those niggers are already aggressive.
Yeah, I'll watch Friday or next Friday or whatever.
I'll put cornrows in my hair, or I'll walk around with big nails, or I'll walk around saying, I can pull over real quick. There's a video on social media. I think it's Instagram. Somebody, she got to be Kyra.
Ashley sips tequila. I love it.
Jesus, it helps. It just helps me get back on track. She got to be all of 15. Kara, she's your height, your size. So what are you, 5 feet? So got to be 5 feet, petite, cute girl. She is talking to this white girl that's maybe my size, but like maybe 5'6".
Okay.
They got to be an easy 14, 15, or like, somewhere teenagers. Teeny tiny is standing there like, so what's up? Like, and she's just talking. And she's like, you talking all this mess? You're down here, nigga. The white girl said that to the little tiny one. And when I tell you, she said, bop, and then, it was a really clean fight, if I could. She reached up for the up jab up here. Which caught old girl off guard, having her lean back, which allowed little Miss Thing to pull the ponytail down here, where she's now down to her size, and whooped that. I mean, and it was incredible fighting. Mm-hmm. Really good. Because, of course, the other thing about this is, which isn't necessarily lighthearted, but because we're Black, we make it a little lighthearted, is I find that racist white people don't have the gumption for all that talk you be talking. See, You can hide behind that gun if you wanted to, but if you was really about it,
you didn't have it?
If you ain't have it,
these hands?
You'd be quiet.
And you can catch
these hands down.
That's
what's annoying to me, is that you want to, it's so cowardly that you're going to use a weapon that that can't nobody, come against that. But it's like, behind this,
but see, there's two things.
You big and bad, Miss. She was so confident. She let it roll right off her tongue, like she had been listening to all of her Trinas and Little Kims and such, and had been practicing it. Rude awakening when my girl said, "We froze." Okay, hi.
Yeah, it's just. So, I think they have about our history. This sincere ignorance.
You froze a little.
Want to use one of our phones as a hotspot?
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, hi.
Sorry about that.
Back.
Due to our interwebs, we had technical difficulties, but we're back now.
We're back. We're here.
All right.
we're gonna probably wrap up this portion, and we're gonna go into the next segments in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, my next question is, so it's the whole internet. You want to tell me? Or you want to wait till we're done?
I'll wait until we're done.
Okay.
We already got it fixed.
Okay.
I mean, it's probably, it's not. I don't think it's probably because the internet's not acting right.
Okay.
Internet has been acting right all
this time. Oh, by the way, upstairs got approved to get Verizon after all that.
Okay.
So he said he's gonna call the landlord person. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
So to kind of wrap this up, so now that here we are as a couple, I know Clifford accidentally put his phone on airplane mode, and I went to call, and I was like, okay, what do I need to do? Who do I need to call? Let's think about like all of the necessary
emergency contacts.
Right. So, what are some systems in place that it's not going to change anything necessarily, but it'll at least help us get through? I know it'll at least make me feel a little bit better that if we're prepared in certain rights in certain ways, at least as a unit, that we can further prepare ourselves. Of course, and this isn't just like in general, these are in general terms, but I'm not saying like, go vote. Voting is necessary. It's important.
I think it's very important that everybody
I
votes.
do think there's other things we can do, but voting is extremely important.
And those rights have been fought for
years,
for hundreds
centuries.
of years.
I mean,
Definitely.
You also have to know your local officials.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Know your local officials. Know your city councilman. Know your police chief. Know your fire chief, public safety director. Know the mayor. Know where they stand on different things.
Mm-hmm.
Know your board of education members and so forth. Know your school administrators as parents. Know those things, because those are the people making those decisions that affect your child's education, that affect how you manage yourself in a town to which you pay taxes for.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important to know those things. It's important to be civically involved in the sense of, you don't have to go to every board meeting. You don't have to go to every, town meeting or whatever, but take a look at those minutes, right? Take a look at the minutes. Take a look at the city profile by which you're living in to know, the median income, and to know poverty levels, or to know the transient levels as to where people are moving in and moving out, especially urban neighborhoods, because it's very, very often that a lot of things are occurring that will affect you that you don't realize. You know what I mean? And I think it's also important when you look at how your money is spent. Look at what is taking priority. Every city and every school district has what they call a user-friendly budget, where you're seeing basically, in a basic sense, where money is being spent.
Mm-hmm.
And follow the money. When you follow the money, it'll lead to the cause of something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also important to know your own history. It's important for us to know our own history, especially in the context by which we live in a society that tries to tell us who we are without even talking to us.
Exactly.
There you go. So with that being said, if you talk to, I guarantee if you talk to 95% of students right now and ask them to name 10 African countries, not Africa as a country, everybody, 10 African countries, they would not be able to tell you. Ask them to tell you 10 countries out of Europe. They will tell you like that. Even out of Asia, they can tell you Asian countries. Okay? Now, the other part about that is, from an education standpoint, you put minority children at a disadvantage when their history starts at 16, 19, when they got to this country through the Middle Passage. You put them at a disadvantage, because that's all they know is that they were slaves from the inception of this country.
Well, hold on. There's a whole history before the colonizers. There's
so
a
much
whole
more.
history. Listen, we were kings and queens out here
So
with
much more.
inventions, trade, beauty, everything in it. There was a whole history before the colonizers
And
came.
so what ends up happening?
Y'all stole it from us, okay?
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so what ends up happening now is you have a disenfranchisement from the very onset of you learning, period. So now, what does that say to your white counterpart who is learning about the explorers, who's learning about the philosophers, who's learning about Shakespeare, who's learning about musicians, classical Western music, all that kind of stuff, right? That gives them a sense of empowerment because they know where they come from in their minds. And so when you look at the cultural conditioning that exists, where you have a Columbus Day, you have a St. Patrick's Day. You know, it's funny that if you get a whole bunch of people for St. Patrick's Day to drink outside in the street, it's not a problem. Let some black people do that, and now it's a serious problem, okay? Mm-hmm. If you, for example, want to do a friendly protest or a nonviolent protest, right, to protest the death of an unarmed black man, right, and to prove that Black Lives Matter. But let's say, for example, in a pandemic, people are getting mad because their states aren't reopening, and they go into the capital of the state. They go into a capital with armed weapons, automatic weapons, and they are not met with any kind of hostility the same way that we are met in terms of having a nonviolent protest.
But if we protest, we get in tear gas,
rubber bullets,
beaten, and everything.
All of the Karens across the United States protested, screamed, "How dare you! You disrespect our country because you couldn't get your nails done." Which, if I may, you weren't getting your nails and hair done from the start, Carolyn. We've been seeing your roots from yesteryear. Them nails haven't been mowed and tamed from the beginning of time, since Jesus. So you ain't out here looking for facials. You ain't out here looking for your wax. You still walk around smelling like mildew. So it wasn't like you was just deciding that I need my mustache wax. No, girl, that's been growing. You've been growing the beard. We've been.
There you go.
The 5 o'clock shadow is present.
You're absolutely right. So it goes back to the knowledge of our own history and the cultural conditioning that results from it.
Yeah.
And so it's important to know that
conversation. That's a whole nother thing.
A whole different thing. In order for you to be able to effectively take a role in this process right now, it's important to have those tools so that you have a cultural context by which you're going to get the opposition. And know what the opposition is going to say. Just like a debate, know what the opposition is going to say before they say it, and know your own history to be able to accurately describe and defend whatever it is that you're advocating for, whether it be for yourself, your children, your families, your community. So that is the biggest way to really take control as much as you possibly can in any community that you're living in, as much as you can, aside from just voting.
Yeah. Okay. So, Clifford. Give me a quick list of things that you want to make sure I have when I'm leaving the house in the middle of pandemic and of all social injustice. As my
a list of things.
Yeah, just give me a quick list. As my partner in life.
Well, your cell phone.
Okay.
Most importantly, because you gotta record. You gotta record what's going on these days, especially when you get caught by the cops. Especially when you get pulled over by the cops. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head because this just came out of nowhere.
A mask to make sure that you were safe around other people. People are still nasty.
Definitely need a mask.
Well, now, yes, definitely a mask.
Hand sanitizer.
Some hand sanitizer.
License.
Of course, license and registration.
You gotta say it. People leave the house without it.
License, registration in your wallet, duh. But as far as protecting yourself as a Black woman, always have your cell phone ready. Make sure that battery is on 100, just in case you get pulled over by the police, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
At that moment, and regardless whether you follow the rules or not, your life is still in danger.
Yeah. Kara, what are some things that you want to make sure Greg has when he leaves the house? Just as general protection. Anything that we haven't already mentioned.
Cell phone, a mask, because people are still nasty out here, coughing and sneezing, all that. Gloves. That's very, very important. Lysol. Well, Lysol to go.
Lysol wipes.
I have like a pint-sized Lysol that's in my purse all the time now.
Lysol to go is perfect. Awesome.
It's the Lysol spray?
Yes.
Yep, it's the Lysol
I think
spray.
it's
Small can.
and one. I forgot all about that. I need to go get one. But those bad boys are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just to remember that yes, you are an African American, but you are also a human being.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important.
Yeah. I think my biggest thing for you is just come back. Like I don't
just come back alive.
Just come back safe and come back alive.
Just come back alive.
Even if you come back beaten up, which is a lot for me, but come back alive.
Come back alive.
If you get whatever you have to do to stay alive, come back alive.
What I also did in my phone, she has the code to my phone, but the other thing is next to my important contacts, I have ice.
My parents do that. Let's fix that now. I should do that right now.
Emergency mom, in case of emergency dad.
In case of emergency, yeah.
I have to put in case of emergency Kara. And honestly, I also say to her, pray before you leave.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely.
While you're in the car.
Make sure you have God's protection. Excuse me.
You have to have that spiritual, yes.
That part is incredibly important. Yeah, no, see, I finally put him as he was already my emergency contact, but I forgot about the ice thing.
No. So, but it's important to be spiritually covered.
Yeah.
And understand that all of these things are not only happening in the physical, they're happening in the spiritual.
Correct.
Last year was the 400th anniversary of our enslavement in this country. And what that basically means is, biblically, it talks about it, and we can talk about that later on, but biblically it says that over that 400-year span, once that 400 years is up, God's going to restore.
Yeah.
So the restoration is coming. But again, just be spiritually covered. Be spiritually covered, along with doing your own part physically to protect yourself and protect your family.
Excellent. All right. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Boom, dynamite. Boom, boom, dynamite. Our team is boom, dynamite. Boom, boom, dynamite. Our team is tick, 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 tick. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me put some booty in it. Boom.
And we're back. Welcome back.
Hey.
So, it is now time for our Jet Beauty of the Week segment. And this week, I wanted to shed some light on a couple of people. Unfortunately, these are people who have passed, but I just want to give a shout out first to BREONNA Taylor.
Yes, happy belated birthday.
Happy belated.
BREONNA Taylor. She would have been 27, which I have to say 27 was my favorite year.
Favorite number.
Baby, worked at the EMT, upstanding citizen, and shot
had her life taken for nothing.
Had her life taken for
nothing. She was in her house playing video games.
No, that's a Tatiana Jefferson.
Tatiana Jefferson.
But it's a shame that we have to clarify between.
Right.
Exactly.
But
it's too many.
Because it's too many things.
Too many.
But I do want to just give her a nice shout out and let her know that I'm sure she's hearing it in the spiritual realm, but she's definitely our Jet Beauty of the Week. Mm-hmm. Also, Tony McDade was also in the same week, literally that whole week of people. Well, BREONNA had been murdered a couple of months ago, I think even before COVID per se, but we had just found out about it in the midst of George Floyd.
Right.
And then shortly after that, we had also found out about Tony McDade. Tony McDade was a transgender man who was also, his life was taken also from police brutality. And he has not been getting nearly as much discussion or notoriety. And I think that is because of the fact that he's a trans man. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to make sure that I acknowledge here on this show that we speak your name, Tony McDade, and you too are a Jet Beauty of the Week.
Hey.
And
the hunger's overtaking me. So
that's part of the COVID habit.
I could be excited.
I could be talking, and if he's hungry, sure, whatever you need. And last but not least, I want to give a huge shout out to my dear friend who is also a friend to the show and has been on the show, ARIEL. ARIEL is a Afro-Latina comedian, and she has been with our roommate and fellow comedian Gordon Baker-Bone. They have been out at the protest heavy. They've been to at least, I think, 2 or 3 in the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And ARIEL had a speech that was electrifying. And it was just like in the middle of the protest, and she just grabbed that mic and she told the people about themselves. She had also, you could see someone who was part of the protest who was trying to take the mic from her, and she literally was like, "I heard you, wait." And I was, that's to me. It speaks to me. So I want to make sure that we give her big ups for that. And I also want to say during Jet Beauty of the Week segment that it is, if there was ever a time to switch up, now's the time to buy Black. Now's the time to support all of your Black businesses. I had
everything.
Yeah, I had an episode a couple of months ago where I was talking to Black businesses, and it's like, I want people to buy from us, but in the same token, we got to work on some things. We got to work on our customer service. We need to work on our presentation. We got to pay our people. And I believe that. I believe those things wholeheartedly. But I also know that right now, in this time, the discussion isn't so much about what we're not doing, it's what we need to do. So what we need to do is support each other. There's
to the fullest.
I did a whole spread of like all the Black, I kind of kept it to like entertainers and stuff, but I'm going to do another one probably this week. But it's really important that we support our Black workers, our Black filmmakers, creators, makeup artists, dancers, nannies, teachers, musicians, content creators. Thank you. Thank you. It's so important because at the end of the day, we are all we got.
For real.
Which brings me to the next discussion, which is my new favorite segment. I love this joint. We don't have a joint dance. We need a joint dance. They have a joint dance. I want to be cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's theirs. We have.
I usually do it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. We'll be back. We'll have it. This is now the Mind Your Business segment. So.
Yes.
You have a couple? You have a couple for my name?
I have a couple. One I cannot mention by name. One I will not mention by name because she is a member of my extended family. That
hits too close to home.
I like it. That's why we're here.
Okay.
I mean, straight up, honestly, she's an immigrant to this country, was a refugee from an African country.
Oh, wow.
And it's one thing to have a point, but first of all, you have not experienced what we've had to experience here in this country.
Say it.
You have not been in this country long enough to even have any kind of clue, not to mention you're trying to defend the oppressor. So I have nothing to say to you, but mind your own damn business.
Woo!
So that's one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The other, which I don't even want to say it's disappointing. It's just I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Brees, brother, not even brother.
Person. Male person. A quarterback who was very beloved in one of the most hard-hit communities in the country. Not from only police brutality, but from poverty, from economic oppression and so forth, and damn near just complete ignorance to the Black community down there from 2005 and even before.
for you to disrespect people kneeling, first of all, when you have law enforcement kneeling, when you have several protesters who are kneeling in reverence to the lives that have been lost, not to mention that the person that I don't want to say started the kneel, but Colin Kaepernick, who kneeled at the advice of an American soldier, was not trying to disrespect the flag and still can't get a job now in the NFL. For you to come out and say that it's a disrespect only shows that you don't have an education as to why that was happening in the first place.
Tell it.
What that signifies now. And you haven't won a Super Bowl in some time. So you know what, bro? Focus on football and mind your own damn.
Yes. Okay, so my mind your business. I can't say who this person is. I can't. So basically.
By the way, listeners, if you write in for Mind Your Business and fellow guests, if you want to use a fake name, we're all right with that too. We can call them Jorana.
Jorana.
Can we call him Dickhead?
Yeah, we can do that. We're gonna call him Dickhead. So basically, it was like, how you gonna go talk to me and try to go injustice for injustice? When you walk in the room, the color of my skin does not change. It is the same chocolate or all day, every day. So Dickhead was just going injustice for injustice. I'm like, yo, just because you're a certain religion, no, I'm talking about my whole race, this is what I look like.
Identity.
Exactly, my identity. We're not talking about your religion. Because if you when you walk in the room, you're still white. So, Dickhead, mind your fucking business.
Oh, I love this. This is like the most action I've been doing. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
Anybody for you?
I hope I don't steal this one, but he's been mentioned in this segment.
Before. I think it might be mine.
We can share it if
it is mine.
We could share it.
Boy! You want to go first or me?
It is former Everybody Hates Chris actor.
Got to get in the camera.
Fellow brother. I'm going to call him a brother just for.
They call that skin folk, not kinfolk. Shout out to Angela.
Yeah, hashtag.
For the sake of being peaceful. One Terry Crews who said, quote unquote, defeating white supremacy without white people is black supremacy. Equality is truth, but that person, no, like it or not, we are all in this together. That is probably the dumbest shit that I've ever heard
in my life. Now, you sorry. Is this my turn?
Okay, you can.
No, you first.
What is black supremacy?
What the fuck is
Especially in a system that caters to white people.
Right.
Here.
It is. We are in a system that caters to. Let me narrow it down. Older white gentlemen.
With gray hairs.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And our back's against the wall the entire time. So how we don't even have a shot to be supreme because of the system. So how do we have a black supremacy?
Right.
That would require financial.
That we have to be financially supreme, and intellectual. We're already intellectually supreme, but they don't say that. You gotta excuse me. I'm thinking of my.
You want to tag me in? Tag me in.
I would tag you in because I'm thinking of my bacon Parmesan right now that I want to.
Now,
Cliff, go order your food.
Now listen, Terry Tumbling Tits Cruz, we supported you when the entire black community made fun of you because of the fact that you got sexually assaulted. And then not only did bitch is right. Not only did you then take it a step further and throw our beloved Kara's twin, Gabrielle Union.
Gabrielle Union, that's right, girl. Yeah, that's my twin. Love her.
Not only did you take her and throw her underneath the bus as if to say, oh, well, I've never experienced racism. This is the most diverse place I've ever been to. For you to say that, and then for you to not only double down there, but then double down behind the fact that the only woman that you need to please, not your daughters, not your mother, not your grandmother, not the woman you work for, is your wife.
Your wife.
So
is a problem for me. But this right here, this dumb shit.
We gotta share everything. We gotta share our black schools.
I can't even just be happy for being black for the sake of it. But you know what? You can do Terry Crews.
The mere fact that we have affirmative action, although it's for white women, we have the fact that we have affirmative action.
Affirmative action is not for white women. Whoa.
Affirmative action.
Let's skip past that. We're gonna skip past that. Let's make a note right here. 129. Edit that out. But let me just finish what I'm saying. So what it is this: is that Terry Crews? Not only are you trying it, but you know what you can do? You can play your little stupid flute out the fuck up my face. Okay, mind your fucking business.
Sure.
Yes.
There you go.
And having said that, I have one last piece. So. As we've seen, it's been a very tumultuous time emotionally. Social media has its days where it's great. It has its days where it's very vexing. I think everyone should take the necessary breaks, listen to music, go outside. But I was perusing upon Instagram. I can't keep calling it social media. I'm not 50. I was perusing upon Instagram. And there is a young rapper by the name, I don't remember his name, but he was shooting a music video. And while he was
YG.
Nope, not YG. Thank you.
I thought it was YG.
Nope, wasn't YG. Sure? Positive.
Mm-hmm.
So, because it's a rapper that's like underground. That's why I know that. It's not YG. But he was outside, and it looks like he's outside underneath a bridge. And he's busy trying to, here it is. His Instagram name is J Day Youngin. Who knows?
Okay.
So J Day Youngin has decided he's like underneath this bridge and he's shooting a music video, and he's black, and another fellow black man who appears to be homeless asked him for food. And he was like, instead of that, why don't you come be in my music video? Come be in the music video, and then I'll buy you food after that. The video is hilarious because the homeless man is giving us like twinkle toes, ballet, shirt is off, sweatpants are on, do-rag is on. He is giving us arms, body, and soul. And so I just want to remind my people from here, from everywhere, from yesterday to the next days, every day of your life, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And that's the end of our show. That's the lesson of the day. Thank you so much for Greg and Kara to come on.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. We
So much
had
fun.
Gotta do this again.
Thank you.
great time. Cheers.
Cheers to that.
Yay.
Cheers.
Water bottle. Wonderful. All right. Oh, now there's water on my computer. That's wonderful. Okay.
That's tequila water.
I don't know what it is, but it's spilling. All right. We love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you too.
Thank you for coming on. So it'll probably I have to send it to get edited. So that's going to take a whole day, and then it should be out by Wednesday.
Cool.
Cool.
All right.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. I forgot to make you guys announce anything, and I forgot to announce that I was playing Tributaries this week. Wonderful. I'll do that later. All right. So I see you guys. Oh, goodness. I'll see you guys.
They're still there.
I know. Sorry. Anything else? Huh?
We still here.
We're still here. Okay, good. All right, kids. It's dinner time. So we're going to go and figure that out.
And I still got to get my car because it's still at my dad. So exactly.
No. All right, kids. We love you. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for coming. Bye. Bye.